If you ever felt like you're running as fast as you possibly can, but are getting smoked by your competition or whoever it is that you're running against, I would make the argument that you're not missing more leg days or don't need to spend more time in the gym, but actually that you need to fix your sprinting form and how it is that you're sprinting in order to get faster. And the common mistake that people make when it comes to training or developing their sprinting speed is they spend a lot of time in the weight room instead of really concentrating on the push when sprinting. And the reason I say you don't need to spend a lot more time in the gym is because we see a lot of athletes that are super strong in the gym are able to put up ridiculous numbers when squatting or deadlifting or bench pressing or whatever, but are not able to run fast on the field or on the track. And the reason is, if you think about it, when it comes to when a rocket is taking off from the earth, the amount of force that has to be generated into the earth to then make it so it goes, makes it so it's able to accelerate, ends up being tons of pounds of force that's really pushing off of the ground in order to create that acceleration. And that's what you need in order to run faster. You need to understand how to generate all that force into the ground to make it so then you are able to sustainably accelerate and also be able to run fast for a long period of time. If you get to a point where you're just not able to generate as much force, whether it is a control thing, stability thing, strength thing, or overall sprinting form thing, you have to be able to isolate why is it that you're not able to generate the right amount of force or the right amount of push into the ground that's making it so you're not able to run fast. And that's what this video is going to go more in depth into. How can you generate more force in the ground, fix your sprinting form to be able to improve your speed. So we're going to be going over 6 different areas that are critical when it comes to your sprinting mechanics, your sprinting form, that is going to have a direct impact on your ability to run faster. And the first one is going to be your acceleration mechanics or your drive phase. And this is something that we talk a lot about, where if you're not able to properly accelerate, if you just don't have the numbers within your first 10 yards or 10 meters, then you're just not going to be able to have that elite level of top end speed. And we see this with a lot of athletes. Not everybody is great at acceleration, but they're able to at least have adequate acceleration that then makes it so they have the numbers or the top end speed necessary to be able to finish a race really strong. But if you are not able to accelerate well, then typically you're just not going to be able to get to your top speed. So when you look at acceleration, what we want to see is being able to have a strong push from the beginning, having this great range of motion. We're going to be showing you the ankle range and really being able to see that push off when you are going through your first 3 to 4 steps, and also a ton of stiffness within the front part of your leg. So as your foot's striking the ground, it needs to be very stiff as you're landing to make it so then you can be very quick off of the ground. What we see is a lot of people that are not stiff when they're landing, they're going to go into collapsing of their foot, collapsing of the ankle. Proper mechanics are going to be landing on the front part of your foot and really having the heel facing straight back as you're striking the ground. If we see people that are struggling with this, a lot of times we'll see the heel going inwards a little bit more, potentially even outwards a little bit more. Usually it's inwards, and then that's going to also lead to a lot of pronation or not proper ability to absorb. So as you're accelerating, make sure we're getting plenty of range as we're striking the ground. Also, let's make sure that as we're landing, we have our chest out over the toes. Again, a lot of people that we'll see struggle with this, what they'll do is when they're landing, they're going to have their chest back, a lot more potentially upright within their spine, but really the big thing is their chest is behind their toe, or the hips are behind the toe, where you really want to be able to get all the way out in front. Another big thing here is just hip flexor strength. And the big thing with being able to see somebody that's able to run very fast is you're going to see them be able to get into these ranges very, very easily. I'll have people all the time go in like pulse and just do different exercises where you're working your hip flexors. Even working on the core is really important to make it so you have that hip flexor strength. If you don't have the range here, if it's difficult for you to get into this position, you're just not going to be able to run as fast. So make sure you have plenty of range when it comes to your hip flexion and being able to cycle that leg well to make it so you're going to be able to have great speed. The third one's going to be having the right amount of ground force when sprinting, and this really comes from the foot height. So as the foot comes off the ground, we're getting that good push off. What you want to be able to see is the foot getting high off of the ground. This is when you're at your top speed. When you're accelerating, it's much more about the front side and being strong into the foot strike. But once you get to your top speed, now we should be seeing a lot more height out of the foot as we're coming through to make it so then we're able to generate a lot of force in the ground. People that struggle with being able to generate the right amount of force typically are just not getting the right amount of height out of the foot. So make sure you're getting plenty of height in the feet to make it so then we can strike the ground with the most amount of force possible. And as you're doing that, as you're generating the force in the ground, make sure you're thinking about getting the foot in front of you and pulling back underneath. We're not really stomping downwards. It really wants to be a pulling backward type of a movement to make it so then you're able to create the right type of rebound. If you're going here, you're just not going to rebound the same as here, which makes it so then you could be quick with the foot contact time. And then that pairs up really good with the arm swing. As you're running, we just don't want to end up having too much here or having one arm go off to the side. I see this a lot. And a lot of times this is really corrected in your acceleration. If you are just not getting the right type of arms as you're accelerating, it's only going to get worse as you get to your top end speed. So I think it's important to spend a good amount of time on just working on the arm action, whether that is holding on to small weights or small dumbbells or just, working on high knees. Things like that could be very effective to make it so then you understand how to control your arms when you get to your top speed. A lot of times people that are quick, right, have good acceleration, good within the first 10 yards, 20 yards, they lose it when they get to the top end because they get all wild with their arms. They are not able to control even like the spine, the arms. The upper body ends up going and getting them in a position where they're not able to control the lower body as well. So number 4, what I would say is if you think a lot of these things are good that we've gone over so far with the push off and the foot and how we're using our legs and your acceleration, then your arm swing could be a big part of why you're not able to continue to build speed. That's what ends up being the important thing about getting faster is it's not about going from 0 to 20 faster. It's being able to build up speed for more period of time to make it so then you're able to get to 40 yards, 50 yards. And that's when you really want to be able to be great with the acceleration is once you get to your top speed. If you waste all of your energy and all of your control in that first 20 yards, then you're just not going to be able to have a great finish. Even if you're running a 40, which is a very short race, that last 20 is really important to make it so you're able to run a great time. If you don't have good arm control, you're not going to be able to continue to build your speed as you get to 40 yards. At the end of 40 yards, you want to be getting at your max speed. You don't want to be at your max speed at 20 yards and then just kind of push through. That's not going to be a great time. You want to be continuing to accelerate. The way to be able to do that, you got to have a great arm swing. Make sure you're looking at how you're controlling that and getting plenty of range pulling back. A lot of times we'll see people that just don't get the range pulling back, and that makes it so they're not able to run as fast, which I think goes great into core stability. I do think that when it comes to being able to run fast, the stronger your core is, the more you're able to have the stability and the strength within the core, within the posture even, right? Because there's a big part of your core strength that goes into your posture. We'll see a lot of people that are kind of rounded over here and just don't have that same level of strength as somebody that's able to really open up within the mid back, within the core. Make sure you have great posture when it comes to being able to run fast. You got to be able to strengthen your back. We'll be showing exercises here to make it so you can train yourself to have great postural position as well as great overall core strength. There's a few really good core exercises that you could be doing on a consistent basis to build up the hips, build up that lower core. That'll make a big difference when it comes to being able to run faster. The next one is going to be, and this is a little bit more complicated, is going to be the foot strike. This is something I've talked a lot about where as that foot hits the ground, we really want to make sure that we're creating a action of the toe being up and then pulling back down underneath. I used to tell people all the time it's important that you're landing a little bit more on the inside part of the foot, but I've just seen a lot of times people will even be landing on the outside and have like a good ability to roll forward as they're pushing off. That makes it so they're still able to run really fast. So it's not only how are we striking the ground or being able to land on the inside part of the foot, it's also being able to understand how to control the foot strike. And just what you want to be able to see is as your body's absorbing, we want to see the shin continuing to move forward, if we're seeing the shin start to move inwards at all or start to twist a lot, then that's how we know we're just not striking the ground adequately. It's being able to strike the ground and then be able to continue a forward action as the foot is absorbing the force. It's going to make it so you're going to be able to continue to build speed. Once we start hitting these actions where the foot's stopping or the shin's stopping, that's a great indication to know, okay, this is somebody that's not able to continue to build speed or continue to generate large amounts of force in the ground. And those are the 6 main things you want to be able to fix when it comes to sprinting mechanics, being able to run as fast as possible. Number 1, be great with your acceleration. Make sure that you're spending time working on your acceleration. Number 2 is create more force into the ground and just have an understanding that that's what you have to do as you're sprinting in order to be able to run fast. You have to be able to generate large amounts of force into the ground. The next one's going to be make sure you have a great arm swing. You're very efficient and in control of the arm swing. Number 4 is going to be foot height, having great hip flexor strength, being able to have the ability to get plenty of height as you're cycling through, as you're sprinting. The next one's going to be the core strength, postural strength, being able to have a great spine position, critical. And then number 6 is a proper foot strike and being able to effectively absorb as that foot striking the ground. As always, guys, thanks for watching. If you like the information, you can check out the description down below to find out more about what we do and how we help athletes in improving their sprinting, both from an online format as well as in person. And also you can check out some of our other videos on the YouTube page. Don't forget, before you do that, like and subscribe. That helps us out a ton, and we'll talk to you soon.